Is everyone complete? Okay, welcome to the actual final round of National University Debating Championship, Lambung Mangkurat 2020. With the motions in the face of Armageddon, this house would fill the last vote, and the last vote will survive with seriously ill people instead of criminals. Without further ado, I would like to invite Prime Minister to open the case. Time is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, when the story comes in the face of Armageddon, we need to fill the last vote. Who will survive from the Armageddon itself with seriously people rather than criminals. Why we're justifying more on ill people rather than criminals, that I would like to explain on my substantive. But before, we would like to give some definitions to the motions. We in here define the motions when the Armageddons happens, and then only left about amount of capacity for the last vote, that the last or we need to prioritize more on seriously ill people, for example, like cancer, rather than criminals. And criminals in here have done a big thing or a serious crime, for example, like kill people or murder, genocide, and then sexual predator or rapist. Why we think so that criminals better, that these ill people better, we need to stop them rather than criminals, because we have several arguments in here that, and also our goal is to create a new world after Armageddon's without criminals. Yes, the criminals could be exist even after Armageddon's without the criminals that exist right now, but somehow if we are proposing these motions, it could be it is our effort to decrease the number of criminals, and also it could create a less number of crime acts in the future after Armageddon, ladies and gentlemen. And then my first argument is that why we need to sack them, the differences of them, and also my second argument would be about criminal justice systems. So let's go to my first substantive, which is like the differences of them. We need to characterize how that there are a difference for the first characteristics of criminals. They are based on their initiative or options. It is that their choices to choose that they would act as a criminals or not. And then most of them having a natural greediness or human greediness, that to serve themselves or their aggressions. And then as we know that if the last vote would need persons who have live in harmony until the Armageddon's done until Armageddon has done. So that's why, ladies and gentlemen, we think that criminals don't have any right to go to the last vote, because of they act as criminals because of their initiative, their motive, their choices to act as criminals. And then what happened with ill people, that it is not their options who want to sex, who want to have such symptoms for their life. So let's well, ladies and gentlemen, in the nature of humans, that they still better, that they survive from their illness, they still that still we justify that they are better rather than a criminal itself. So we think that this is such differences between their characteristics. And then, ladies and gentlemen, talking about the scenario that happens in the future, the first is that the potential argument that comes from the opposition team with talking about how the human right, we don't think so human right exists in these cases, because of what? Because the criminals are already violating human right of others because they, for example, like they kill others already. They have done such a serious crime. So that's why we don't think so that the human right also could be significant in this debate. Also, the second of potential argument that coming from the opposition is that ill people would die as soon as possible. Yes, it could be, but we don't think so because we don't know who want to die when people that having symptoms or having seriously ill people itself would die, because in the future what happened in the next in the new world, that it could be a subject to learn by researchers to find a cure to their illness itself, ladies and gentlemen. So that's why we need to sack them also because of they have a family or college. So that's if um, we don't think it is okay, it is fair for people who has not anything bad in their life, anything bad in their life, and then they would die because of Armageddon's, that they still have a capacity, that the capacity itself to criminals, ladies and gentlemen. And then let's go to my second substantive talking about criminal justice system. Why it is still be okay for seriously ill people rather than criminals, because we think that the criminal justice systems is the entire process of law enforcement, that this act could be as punishments for the criminals itself that already commit to do such a serious crimes, and then it could be also protections to another peoples to make sure that the peoples who are criminals itself are not gonna repeat their crime acts against, ladies and gentlemen. And also it could be make a deterrence impacts or send the message to the society that the society that if we are making such a serious crime, we have the that we have punishments and we don't have any choices to live. And then, ladies and gentlemen, it could be also having rehabilitations towards the society, and then make sure that it is an effort to make a peaceful society in the future, in the new world, ladies and gentlemen. We think so. We think why criminal justice systems it still be okay, even though in the chaotic uh, in the chaotic times where Armageddon comes, because a justice would be always exist, even though it is in the last time of the world, ladies and gentlemen. And then the scenario that will be happen if we are applying these motions, that the criminal that
Time's up.
we don't have in the new world. So I think
Time's
that's
up. Prime Minister spent 7 minutes 28 seconds, 7 minutes 28 seconds. To open the case from the opposition side of the House, I would like to invite leader of opposition. Time is yours.
Okay, first of all, the motion today is in the face of Armageddon, this house must fill the last vote with seriously ill people instead of criminals. And the government team defined that seriously ill people are the people almost died because of their illness. And criminal is any person who done serious crimes. So first of all, I would like to review the statement from the previous team. He said that we would likely to achieve a world without criminal, even less criminal. But actually, we are all criminals. But we the difference is between them is we haven't found out yet. And the second is that uh, in after Armageddon, it would be a chaotic time. There won't be a peaceful time. We are still redeveloping, and um, and more criminal in those chaotic times more likely to appear. So that's why with when we are enforcing putting last vote with criminals, we are actually enforcing security to the ship and also our work. We learn to how to enforce rather than helping serious ill people, because when we are helping criminals, we accidentally without our consent, we are also enforcing our security. So And he also said that uh, because of human greediness, because of criminals with human greediness, actually every human have it, and the difference, like I said before, we haven't found out yet. Still, and that's still better rather than criminals itself. Uh, Actually, criminal is better because I will point it out in my argument. And then he said that talking about futures, ill people are better. Actually, criminals is more better in long term because of we need more human resource to redevelop. And then he also said he said that they could die anytime the seriously ill people, and maybe we would have in the future we could do more research about their illness, but actually we could not, because why? We are still redeveloping in the future, so we need to focusing on more redeveloping rather than finding some cures about ill people, because we would like to start from zero. So and then
At the point, sir.
we won't have any resource, or maybe not enough resource. So I would like to continue to my argument. Is that why we choose seriously ill people instead, why we choose criminals instead of seriously ill people. First of all, the criminals have more survival rate than the seriously ill people. Why the survival rate important? Because it's a long-term usefulness. In the future, it's more efficient if we use them in some sector while also rehabilitating them. And a lot of criminals could be rehabilitated because so we could send them back to society. And if they want to be free from the labels of the criminal, they need to prove their usefulness by being useful and also cooperative while rehabilitated. But how do we rehabilitate a criminal? First, every criminal must have a mental illness. That's why they do their crime. So we need to provide the mental support, and then tighten the law regarding crimes, and then sort out the type of criminal from the lightest to the greatest, so we can achieve more better way of compromising their mental health, and then lastly is treat their mental health. So when we treat their mental health, they more likely won't be criminal again, and we could send them back to society while also redeveloping the society itself. So why we don't want to help seriously ill people? First, there's no gains in helping them. Only loss for a short-term benefit. So we should think for when the government team said that we are talking about human rights. No, we are not talking about human rights. We are talking about more logical way in thinking about our futures, how to redevelop our futures. And then if we think far, in case of extinction and disaster, we need to think logically to ensure our survival rate. And then that's why that our survival rate of helping criminal is more important rather than and to ensure our survival, because criminal is more important because they are still human like us. So by helping criminals, we also help or ensuring our survival rates by first of all, like maybe rehabilitating while also rehabilitating them in agricultural sectors, and then and many other sectors, and also while we also provide we also could enforce security at this of our world by helping criminals, because we could learn from their behavior, so we could also stop or prevent for further case of criminality. That's why we very disagree if we help seriously ill people, like I said before, because there are no gains in helping them, and also uh, they need equipment to help them to support them in living. For example, like if they are having a last stage of cancer, we need more chemotherapy and etc. etc. We need more equipment in helping them, rather than if we use criminals. So we could allocate the budget and enforcing security. There's not only enforce the security of our current station in the Armageddon, but also we could learn from enforcing security of the future world of our new world. So if you're talking about the future, that helping criminals is more profitable and more logical way of thinking, not about human rights. So in the face of extinction, I prefer to use our logical way of thinking and help and ensuring the future of humanity in helping the criminal instead of seriously ill people. That's all from me. Thank you.
Either opposite position spend 6 minutes 12 seconds, 6 minutes 12 seconds. Now to extend the case from the opening government, I would like to invite Deputy Leader of Deputy of Prime Minister. Time is yours.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Deputy Prime Minister of the government. With the motion in the face of Armageddon, this House would fill the last vote. The last vote will survive with seriously ill people instead of criminals. First thing first, I would like to give some rebuttal to the previous speaker. So the previous speaker was mentioning that having criminals is actually increasing security because they can defend themselves. But the thing is, if they will increase security, what is the evidence for that? Because the fact that they are criminals, they have so many probability to actually betray the our community. And is that really what we want right now? We don't want that, because if we have more people, more criminals that actually killing us or whatever, because we don't know like if they are a functional human being or not. But if we keep them as our community, so therefore it will actually create more problem in this chaotic world. This world is already chaotic, and you add more criminals to make it more chaotic. That is not a smart move, my dear friend. And then next, my second rebuttal would be, um, every criminals have mental issues. And then the solution for that is rehabilitation. So if we are going to rehabilitate those criminals, aren't we going to need more time and space, and also all of the professionals that are capable to actually solve the mental issues that you said that they have? No, thank you. So therefore, it is going to make, and there is no guarantee that they are going to be a perfectly function human being that can actually defend the community. So therefore, in the Armageddon, and therefore we don't think that is a wise strong argument either. And then we're going to continue to the argument. So first, we are prioritizing ill people because we want to create a world without criminals. Yes, we are completely aware that these are seriously ill people, but in this case, um, of Armageddon, it might seem like it's impossible, but there is no such thing as impossible. So therefore, we believe that if we make a move on like making it a better world, so therefore we can actually achieve it. And one of our first move is that we would eliminate those criminal at first. So therefore we would having more chance, and people would see that, oh, the criminals are, if they do the bad things, the bad acts of they've done, they're gonna have to pay for that. And then second, my argument is that we believe that this is the act of punishment that the criminals deserve. In the role of the resort, in this, we would like to show you that also the community, and this is our effort to make the Armageddon a better place. And then third, with the seriously ill people, just like the mention from the prime minister, we would like to have them as the subject to, so that we can study them, and then therefore we can understand the seriously ill, so that the in this case we would like to make an effective medicine. Not that we are trying to like chemotherapy them with the traditional way, no, but in fact we are trying to achieve to be able to reach like a better community with a better health. So therefore we can study the ill already, because they already got the symptoms, and they already got the lack of health that they have. So therefore we can study them and actually make a pill or something that we can actually give to the other people who might going to get the same symptoms or the same illness. So therefore, in the long term, it's actually wiser because we can actually promote a better community, because our community is very limited. We don't want them to have such illnesses. And then for it is not that we are not respecting the life of the criminals whatsoever, but we would like to remind you that the criminals are already violating the others' right beforehand. So therefore, we believe that it is so much wiser for us to save the seriously ill people because they deserve it more. It's not like the seriously ill people are the one who choose that they want to be ill, right? The the criminals, in fact, they are the one who's doing the criminals act that they've done with the conscious mind. So therefore, we believe in the face of Armageddon, this we believe the government believe that filling the last boat with the seriously ill people instead of criminals are a way better solution in the long term. Thank you.
Thank you for the Deputy of Prime Ministers. Now to close the opening debate, I would like to invite Deputy Leader of Oppositions. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, all. First of all, let we think logically about the situation after the Armageddon happened. It will be it will be a really chaotic situation, and the first thing that we need that we need to remember that the goal of that last boat is to maintain the human race. It is to continue. It is to assuring that the human is not extinct. The main goal of that last boat is to have the human survivor, to save the human right, to prevent the human from extinction, right? So we still do believe in logically that it will better to fill that last boat with the criminals instead of ill people. And first, I want to do the rebuttal about the government ideas. They say that the criminals are not functionally benefit because they are criminal, right? But we think here they are functionally more beneficial because they are more strong physically to help with the development itself. And the chaotic situation that happens after the Armageddon, what we need to do first is to developing the world itself, right? To assuring that the human is not extinct. So my first argument here is, first of all, the criminals would give more advantages in the long term, and because it's all about to start the new era after the Armageddon. What we need to start what we need to do to start the new era is, of course, strong survivor who was physically and mentally strong enough to save the human race to build a new world after that huge disaster.
Ma'am,
We need
Joy.
that kind. No, thank you. We need that kind of human resource because Armageddon destroying the world and leaving us the survivor with a totally different condition. It is a really different condition, and it is not gonna be the same like the world we know before. It will be a really different condition. We need to think out of the box and to act out of the box. And we think that the criminals will give more advantages than the seriously long ill people. Second of all, criminals has a clever thinking. They think out of the box. They have the ability to survive. They have a really clever in. They are really clever in a difficult situation. It is the ability that we need to survive. That we need to start over the human race, to start over this world again, right? And in the new world after the Armageddon, the first thing we need to do is, of course, assuring the continuation of the human race itself. We need to assure that human race is not extinct. How about we fill the last bowl with the seriously ill people? They are seriously ill people, right? Third of all, we do believe that criminals is also human in that kind of situation. The post condition after the Armageddon, the chaotic condition after Armageddon. We do believe all people will think about the continuation of the human race itself, and and surviving from the Armageddon and start over the world. So logically, it is more beneficial for us, uh, and it is more beneficial for us to fill that last bowl with the criminals. And yeah, there's no there's no guarantee here, and but you also have no guarantee about that serious ill people will survive or are giving more beneficial than the criminals. But we do still believe that criminals is also human, and that in that kind of situation, the first thing what we need to do is to to start over the new world, and to start over the development. So we really need a human resource, a huge human resource, really strong human resource to do that kind of development. And as the deputy of opposition, we logically still believe that it will be a better option to fill the last boat with criminals. And as my uh, opening opposition leader of opposition said before, that we do we gonna do we gonna rehabilitate them. And uh, as as the government team said also,
POI, please.
that no thanks, that the serious ill people will also takes time to study about their ill, but it is also a really good way to study about their mental illness also. Thank you.
Deputy Leader of Opposition spent 5 minutes 58 seconds. 5 minutes 58 seconds. Before we continue, we're going to pause for a moment. There's a technical issue. To begin the case from the closing government, I would like to invite member for the government. Time is yours.
Am I audible?
Mm-mm.
Once more, am I audible? Okay, thank you. Ladies and also gentlemen, live in the peace of Armageddon, which ways better for us as a human to be prepared of, whether which is to save the seriously ill people or the criminals. Let me address several points coming from the coming from the opposition bench which is first of all they want us to think logically, which is they want when we think logically, they believe in here that we need to still choosing the criminal because they will have the human, they will avoid extinction, and also human resource is really needed. Ladies and also gentlemen, they are preferring the quantity over the quality itself. Why we believe like that? Because we believe in here, ladies and also gentlemen, when we are talking about the quantity or quality of the citizens within within this crucial time, we talk about the quality, which is the quality also the contribution of those people towards the country, towards the future, towards the probability of the future itself. The quality member of the society, for example, like the doctor, government, police, technician, and also the labor itself. They believe that this is principally right because we do believe in here that those criminals could also be beneficials and could prove their useful itself and also the contribution itself. But ladies and also gentlemen, we need to think and also to analyze that, ladies and also gentlemen, our priority in here not only based on this current issue but also coming from their record background itself, ladies and also gentlemen. We do believe in here that the huge potential of those criminals to rebels, to overthrow the new government, the new world country is much more bigger because they are driven by their self-interest to survive alone rather than to defend the humanity itself, ladies and gentlemen. Based on these considerations, we do believe in here that it is not okay if we morally, logically choosing them over the mental illness when we know that those seriously ill people, because we know that at the end of the very day, these seriously ill people have contributed all their life towards the government, and we reward them for that. We thank them for that, and we reward them for that. So now let we see the cases coming from us, which is coming from the closing government itself. When our opening government giving you the value judgment, the philosophical way to approach this motion, we in here as the closing government will talk our analysis in the perspective of the actors itself, ladies and also gentlemen. First thing first is about the government perspective. Why is it justified to save seriously ill people in this crucial time, in this very important time? The government needs to have valid judgment and also based on the calculation range, not only to overcome both side, both factor, but also in the time sensitivity aspect itself, ladies and also gentlemen. The government not only needs to think about the short term, which is the survival period, but also in the long term, which is when they are valuing about the future itself. Ladies and also gentlemen, we know in here that when those government trying to give them their judgment, the primary priority is for those people who have healthy physically and also health morality itself. It is the one who get the primary priority to be saved by those vote itself. And then in the last priority, in the last vote itself, why is it justify for us when we are thinking about this short and also long term to be philosophically analyze this motion, and we choose to save those seriously ill person itself, ladies and also gentlemen. Philosophically, we do believe in here in the morality hierarchy. We as a government, we need to think which member of the society is more worthy than the other. First thing first, we have already told you about the contribution aspect itself, ladies and also gentlemen. Those society, those seriously ill people, even if right now they are not in the health condition, they have already contributed towards the society, towards the greater good itself. This is a kind of reward, kind of gift that we give them in the hope of their own survival in the future itself, ladies also gentlemen. And for those criminal itself, why is it justified if we philosophically believe them as unworthy? Because we do believe in here, in the case of this contribution, they didn't contribute at all. They even broke the rules of the government in the very first place, and they are endangering society, not only themselves. We do believe in here this some sort of punishment will be their last sacrifice, their last punishment, and also it could be in the form of redemption for those people. They will be remembered not only not only they will be remembered in the future, not only by those criminals, but the criminal that worthily that sacrificing themselves to the better future. It's more better, right, ladies and also gentlemen? So in the philosophical way, we believe in here that the government need to believe in this status quo, in this proposal itself. And now, when they're trying to see also in the perspective of the government, in the practicality, we know here as the government, we need to keep our image as a ruler, as a role of the authority itself. We need still to keep thinking not only about the calculation risk when we are trying to see this as practically itself, which ways better in a practically side. We believe in here that in a practically it's still better to still save those people. Why? Because in the calculation risk, when those criminal is being saved and there are long term, which is the future itself, one police will need to keep up with them, one criminal, one police for one criminal. But then when this doctor and also the nurse itself could keep several seriously ill people, even if we didn't have the health facility, but then we still have those doctor and also the nurse that could still giving up the life expectancy of those people. And even if the life of expectancy of those people is not survival enough in the Armageddon era, and then we as the government have already doing the right job practically, because we erasing them not by we are erasing, we are let them die, we let them die proudly after after all of this struggle itself, ladies and gentlemen. Which one is effective? Still, we believe in here we still effective in saving the seriously ill people. And the second, when we're talking about the perspective of the society, we do believe in here that in the perspective of the society itself, as the global society, that they are given, when those people have given the choice, which is to vote which person that they will choose, they will be likely in the fall into the prejudice itself, which is VT or versus peer itself. When those people, the government saving those criminal, they will get into peer. Will more likely to get more panic, because they will live side by side by those criminal in the future itself. And then when they are living they are pitying those ill person, even if it's pitying, but then at least they are still depending the worst enemy, which is one worst enemy, which is the Armageddon itself, not those criminal itself. So based on this probability of the repeat action, panic scenario, and also the humanity bonding value, we still believe in here it's better for us to save those seriously ill people. Ladies and also gentlemen, as a member of the family, as a member of the humanity itself. Thank you. I close myself.
Ada ditunggu. Member for the government spend 7 minutes 37 seconds, 7 minutes 37 seconds. Now to extend the case from the closing opposition, I would like to invite member of oppositions. Time is yours.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, udah ada waktunya Kak di screen. Masuk.
Kurang nyaring.
Oh ya, masuk udah.
Ya, masuk silakan.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, in this motion that we say that in the face of Armageddon, that this house would fill the last boat with the last boat will survive with seriously ill people instead of criminals. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's see what is the definition of the survive itself. So the survive is mean that we want to stay alive. Ladies and gentlemen, why a person need to survive? It is because first they want to have a better life, ladies and gentlemen, and second they want to spend their life more, and then also we will create a new life, ladies and gentlemen. And let's see what we need to survive. What we need to survive is an adaptation skill first, and the second, and let's that's what we need to survive the adaptation skill, because we know when we are talking about the Armageddon is an extraordinary situation, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we as the human need an adaptation skill. And in this case, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that criminals is more likely have an adaptation skill, and if we not include the criminals with us, we cannot take a learn with them, ladies and gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, as we as the government team believe that because the survive, that means that we need to have a better life. We should prioritize that someone that have a higher change. And then also they always talking a need to prevent the criminals make bad things for the people. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we believe when it comes to Armageddon is a really unordinary situation that come to us. And then we believe that human is always have an intention to get survive, to stay alive. And in this case, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot believe all the people morality, even they are not have a criminal records. We believe that everyone can be criminals, ladies and gentlemen. We believe that when it comes to Armageddon and how human is have an intention to prioritize their life, how to their stay alive. We believe that even though that they are never have a criminal's record, they could make that everyone could be a criminal. So that's why we believe that actually if they want to prevent the criminals as the criminals to doing the bad things for them, we don't think it is as a wasting. And ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about the seriously ill people, they are totally illness people, and they have a very little chance to stay alive. Meanwhile, in here that we are talking about surviving, and we are talking about an extraordinary situation like Armageddon. When it comes to Armageddon, because it is like the end of the world, we need to our prioritize, the most prioritized is stay alive, ladies and gentlemen. We believe that we have even the chance to stay alive is also, we don't know the chance to stay alive, because we are in the situation that really extraordinary. So we believe, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to the seriously ill people, we help them. It will, well, actually they are cannot survive by themselves. They cannot do it. They maybe cannot do it, the basic things. Well, actually we as the human that have a healthy body can do. And we believe that it will make a lot of things. I'm sorry. And then and let's see about the criminals. Let's see how the criminals is survive in this world. That we know that someone can be a criminal because they have another perspective, right? Because we know that we are normal as a human, but when it comes to the criminals, they have doing a lot of bad things, doing a lot of things, and then until it makes them as a criminals. We believe that they have an adaptation. A skill that can be that we can be learned on. And well, actually the criminals is also can, we believe that they if we are trying to in this crucial moment when the Armageddon is happen, we believe that when they're trying to prioritize to stay alive, there is a time that we need to cooperate, right? Not always making bad things. For example, is a rapist. They have they will make they have a criminal records as a rapist. That doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that it will in this Armageddon, that when an Armageddon happen they will rape of someone. We believe that it is a time that we are still stick together, and we need to prioritize our life, to stay alive, to make a change to stay alive, ladies and gentlemen. In Armageddon, we in that situation that people is have that we need to an extraordinary moment that we need to make an we need to prioritize our life, that we even don't know the change of the life itself, ladies and gentlemen, especially for the seriously ill people. Well, actually they are not the change of their life is is lighter than the normal person. We mean the person who have a health body.
Yo,
And
I
also,
ma'am, please.
I'm sorry. And that's why, ladies and also gentlemen, we also believe that they was talking that they're also talking to make a community, and then also they're talking about how they need to take the high morality as the prioritas. No, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that the surviveness is something that we need to achieve for. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to the criminals, we believe that they can be contribute, because there is a time that because we stick together, sometimes it will make us uh, can achieve that survival, ladies and gentlemen. And when they are talking about the criminals can harm the other person, well, actually we believe that we don't want to see another background. All we need to do is how we achieve that survival, and what we need to decide to do to make a higher change of the survival itself, ladies and gentlemen. And then when we take the seriously ill people, it means that that even the seriously ill people is have a little chance. We believe that it is wiser for us to make a new life that will include a person that have a higher chance, because we believe that the definition of the survive is it is with it is make us
Time's up.
to have a better life. So, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that it is better for us to give to include the criminals rather than the seriously ill people. Thank you.
Opposition member for opposition spend 7 minutes 38 seconds. 7 minutes 38 seconds. To close the government case, I would like to invite Government Whip. Time is yours.
Panels, let's directly summarize and frame our debate today. Let's highlight several important things under our motion today. Our setting is clear, is that we're facing the situation of Armageddon, where there are no certain possibilities for either human race could survive or not, but at least government need to do the best thing to make sure that government fulfill their job to survive the human race during this short period of survivability. As team government, we think that we need to highlight several things. We need to fulfill our role as government, which are to provide our responsibility towards the societies, towards the people, and also to make sure that we are still doing the right thing in terms of morality or in terms of philosophical judgment. Now let's frame out what happened in the opening debate and in the closing debate afterwards. In the opening, the debate goes on more into the consideration of long-term effect of the choice of the government. In the opening government, we agree that the characteristic of criminals and people should be as follows. Criminals are those who choose and responsible for their own crime, for their own past behavior, and they also have a big tendency to do aggression in the future. Therefore, we think that criminals have big possibility to be categorized into the negative side of people in terms of morality. And then moving on, the characteristic of ill people, we agree that the characteristic of people should be as people who have done contribution towards government, but somehow in one way or another, those people are not fortunate enough to have a healthy life. Therefore, they have the illness. We also agree that the life. We also, as government, also agree and smartly think that, of course, the life expectancy of people who are seriously ill is not as high as criminals. However, we think it is still the best choice for us to put ill people within the last in the last boat. Closing government, one thing that we want to highlight, what makes us different with the opening government, is that the consideration of the opening government goes more into the long-term agenda of survivability in the future. However, as the closing government, we want to bring the nuance into a more short-term consideration, where we think there are very high high level of uncertainty within this era. Therefore, we think that the best priority for us is to prioritize a short-term consideration for this. Meaning that since the very beginning of the closing debate, our member for government already giving to you a picturization of how, as closing government, we want to bring the nuance into a more pragmatic nuance and pragmatic consideration for the government. Therefore, things that we need to highlight that become the stance of team closing government is the two things. Number one, closing government want to make sure that our decisions to be as efficient as possible, not only efficient for the government, but also efficient for the remaining boat that also survive within this era. Not only the last boat that have a choice between ill people and criminals, but also the remaining boat. And number two is that as government, we also need to show our image as a morally justified government that have a more morally justified decision as well. And that already explained to you since the very beginning of this debate from the closing government. Before I go to my elaboration for my member for government, let's point out several issues coming from opposition bench. Let's start from the opening opposition. We agree with with how opening opposition try to have a bold stance to be more practical, because it's the same with the closing government. We want to be more practical as well. However, we think that in terms of practicality, it's not only about quantity. It's not only about how much people that we are having for building the future. Even if that closing government want to have a efficient survival time, but we also want to have a peaceful time within that surviving era. Meaning that if we want to keep criminals, it is very risky for government to keep criminals with us, because criminals have a big tendency to do aggression, to do crimes, and hard to control for government. Even if the opening opposition believe that we could assure to have a better security procedure to control the criminals. However, we think that the assurance is still uncertain. The assurance is still not valid. Therefore, we think that it is still not possible for us to assure that there's no aggression and the surviving time, the short-term surviving time will still be fine anyway. Therefore, we think that it is a very risky procedure to follow. Therefore, opposition have a burden to prove to us that the assurance of to contain the criminals is able to be done in the future. Moving on, when it comes to characteristic of criminals, we understand that opening opposition try to highlight that in some issues, in some cases, criminals coming from people who have mental illness. However, mental illness is not the only problem. Therefore, it is some way of assumption coming from opposition, trying to say that mental illness is the only contributing factor towards people who are criminals. Therefore, by containing their mental illness issues, they will able to contain the aggression tendencies of criminals. We think that is very very low correlation, and therefore we think that it is still very hard for us to contain the issues. Therefore, the best choice for us is still the same: is to sacrifice them, or to give them a change to sacrifice and redeem their sin and the past. Moving on, the opening opposition believe that within the new era, we need stronger people to build the future. We agree with this. However, our consideration is still the same. We want to have a short-term consideration, meaning that we want to make sure that at the end of the day, we want to not only focus on the last boat, but also the remaining boat that survive within that short-term era. Moving on to the closing opposition, we think that closing opposition in one way or another kind of the same with the opening opposition, by try to bring the characterization of criminals, by try to justify that criminals are worthy in terms of practicality. However, as I already mentioned before in my response for opening opposition, they are still, practically speaking and philosophically speaking, are not as worthy as ill people. Moving on to my elaboration for my member for government. We think when it comes to philosophical choice, it is better for government to choose to sacrifice criminals instead of illness people. Why? Because it will show to the remaining society that survive that government do a deeds job, have a good intention to choose people who are morally higher in the hierarchy level instead of criminals, as already explained to you by our member for government. And also moving on to the practicality level. On a practicality level, we think it even if that at the end of the day that those ill people could not survive, at least as government we already did our job, and it is even better because the responsibility for government will be less because because we are sacrificing not only criminals but also having people who have less life expectancy, meaning that government could focus more on the healthy and also less problematic remaining both. Thank you.
Time's up. Government whip spend 7 minutes 39 seconds, 7 minutes 39 seconds. Now to close the case from the opposition side of the House and to end the debate, I would like to invite opposition whip. Time is yours.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are. Yes, yes, we can see you and we can hear you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as a closing opposition, here I will give to you what is going on with our debate today. So now, ladies and gentlemen, what is missing in our debate today is that everyone is trying to, see the possibility of what is going to be happen or what are the things that they want to do, but they forgot on how to put their shoes on this event, on this era, or in this situation. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe that in facing the Armageddon, now we're imagine like we're now in Armageddon. Everyone is panicked. Everyone is losing their conscience. But one thing that they are only thinking about in these situations is that how to stay alive. Even though I will explain to you what is the characteristic of the people, like my members have already said to you before, later on my elaborations. Now, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to what's going on with our debate today. Let's see the opening government ideas at the very first place. Opening it is the idea of morality will be happen if these people will be saved, and we're trying to neglecting those criminal people, and they're trying to persuade us that it's actually these ill people will live in harmony until the Armageddon done. While actually, ladies and gentlemen, we could not, we could not count on these people. We could not believe that they will be survive in this era. We were looking for the one that is helpful the most towards the situation. And as my intentions of that, we see, ladies and gentlemen, the characteristic that it has been neglecting by all of the team is that the characteristic of the people itself, the illness, the ill people itself, ladies and gentlemen, right? And they're talking about how these criminal people will actually give damage, while we see the characteristic of this ill people itself. Like my first speaker already told you that this ill people is lack of adaptation skill. They could not overcome. They could not keep on going with this era. Ladies and gentlemen, if
we could see the background, if we could see the before this Armageddon, these sick people is already losing their hopes on living, on their self, on their sickness. Means how would they keep survive, and how that we could maintain their psychological conditions in this Armageddon era when they see no hopes on their own self, and how they would see that they will have the lesser hope to live after seeing the world will end anyway, right, ladies and gentlemen? And here is the things that the is trying to not point it out, ladies and gentlemen. Now we see that actually, ladies and gentlemen, these Armageddon people, those people who live in Armageddon, is that they are consisting of two kind of people. First, those who want to stay alive. Second is the one that give up on their life. First, those who want to stay alive as opposition, closing opposition, we believe that it is criminal. We believe that these criminal people is actually having the highest intentions on how they want to live, because they have regret in their life by doing the criminal actions. While those who want to give up is these people with illness, right, ladies and gentlemen? They lack on the adaptation skill. They will freak out when they're facing this Armageddon, and they would not. And how we could, we could surviving these people, saving these people with the lesser intention to live, their condition will be. We can see that their further condition will be bad, will be more severe, because their psychological state is not stable, ladies and gentlemen. This is the point that
Karin.
all over the team is not talking about, ladies and gentlemen. What makes us different with our opening opposition? Am I audible now?
Iya, tadi koneksinya kayak terputus-putus gitu tempat kamu.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I continue now?
Yeah, continue.
So the opening opposition, what makes us different with our opening oppositions is that they're trying to see the logical right, but then we also not only as a closing opposition, we're not only seeing the logical side, but we're also seeing the future, which intentions of these people will actually giving the better life, will giving a chance or a hope to make a better life after the Armageddon itself. Ladies and gentlemen, now we see that, as my member has already said to you, that the possibility for a better life, and the higher possibility for these people to face this dangerous era is that those who are criminals itself, ladies and gentlemen. We see, ladies and gentlemen, if the closing government trying to convince us that the background of these illness people is actually matter to save the other people, or to be saved because they want to say their grateful things. We believe, ladies and gentlemen, even though you are a president, even though you are a police, even if you are a doctor, after you getting this illness, you will lose your hopes. It is actually the characteristic of these people, the ill people that has been neglecting by all of the team. This is this mentality that we don't want to bring in our boat, ladies and gentlemen. We want those people with only those who have the intentions to live, is that those who we believe that will create a better life and will bring in our boat to survive from this Armageddon itself, ladies and gentlemen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here we believe also know. And also know, ladies and gentlemen, as my member have already said to you, that actually people in this era, in this Armageddon situations, everyone is possible to do the criminal. As I said before, everyone losing their conscience, but one thing that is to stay alive. They're trying to sacrifice everything. They become selfish. They become those who have the intentions, they will trying to keep life, right, ladies and gentlemen. And everyone is possible to do the criminals itself, ladies and gentlemen. And we could not, and we see that, ladies and gentlemen, this criminal, because we see that this era is actually chaotic enough, there is actually okay to save these people to save these criminals people, because in this era we didn't see the background of the people. We're only seeing those who have the highest intentions to live and the higher chances to survive in the future itself, ladies and gentlemen. And we here believe that it is okay to upholding the idea of possibility for a better life in this era rather than the morality itself, ladies and gentlemen. What is morality is actually to be upheld better in our next life and not in this era.
Time's up.
And we believe that as the closing opposition, we proudly oppose this motion. So like debate. Thank you.
Thank you. Government opposition whip spent 7 minutes 29 seconds. 7 minutes 29. Now that's the end of the actual final round. So we're going to leave the judges for the discussions, and after that, we're going to have an announcement who's going to be OLM representative in the nationals. Thank you.
And then we're gonna have grand final. So stay put. After this, we will have grand final.